want anything bad enough, don't make excuses. You gotta lose your time and your sleep for it. You find a way.
Boxing King Media in association with the Riyadh season. Barry Jones, we're here at Knockout Chaos. What do you make of it all?
Well, I'm the last person who should be at anything called knockout. I couldn't punch to save my life. What am I here for? What's that? The irony putting me here. I should have been on the stage with it, shouldn't I? Knockouts are overrated. Yeah, it's been mad. It's mad, and all this stuff is just crazy. I know everyone's saying the same thing, but it's just massively unique. Like whether it's good or bad, it's this is what it is.
It is, isn't it? And I think His Excellency mentioned that the theme's inspired by Street Fighter, the game. But just for context, you said about knockouts. Just let the fans know why you said that, because some young one will be watching this thinking, "What's he on about?"
Oh yeah, I only had one knockout in my career.
But you was a world champion.
I was a world champion, which if anything shows how skillful I was. Like, I must be super skillful, not to be able to punch anyone. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I wasn't very much, I had no power, that's what I would say, I had no power. So, yeah, knockouts is not much I can talk about. But then when I'm doing commentary, I'm always talking about, how to transfer the weight. I know how to punch now, but I didn't know how to punch then. Funny, isn't it?
It doesn't even matter, does it? At the end of the day, become a world champion, which people can only dream of doing. Let's talk about this event. So back to Knockout Chaos. What do you make of the fight in itself? Because, before nobody knew anything about Ngannou, now we know what he's got to offer. Does he challenge Anthony Joshua, or because this is all based off nobody knows what went wrong in the fight for Fury?
Yeah, I find it still hard to gauge Ngannou how good he is, because we got one fight against a Fury who's clearly not motivated, but then that's just an excuse though. It might be true, but that's Fury's problem, and that's Fury's fault. Every fight you should be motivated, especially for the money you're getting, by the way, let's not forget that. So, he has to take the flak for that. Ngannou, I didn't think Ngannou won. Our boxing scored. I understand all the big moments were his, but our boxing is scored, round by round basis. Fury did enough. But it was too close. It was a close fight. But I still think Joshua does a job on him.
Well, I want to ask you about that, because because I like getting different opinions, and I've spoken to people who said AJ blows him away in 3 rounds, and I also spoke to Dominic Ingle yesterday, and he said to me that he thinks this is a harder fight than Otto Wallin, because we still don't know how good Ngannou is, even though we've seen him for 10 rounds.
Yeah, and he might be right. I'm not going to argue with Dom. No, yeah, he's singing a song otherwise. No, but and his muscles. But I mean, he's sort of right. I do understand that, but I just think the fact that even though Fury, theoretically, is the harder fighter for Ngannou to box because he's erratic, the fact that because Fury gives you opportunities at time, and if he underperforms, which he has throughout his career, we have brilliant performances and we had very poor performances, but he knows how to win regardless. But he gives you opportunities sometimes, and he makes mistakes. But like Joshua, when he's on fire like he was against Wallin, he got the conventional shape, Joshua. So his hands are high, elbows are tucked in tight. So he's in front of you. You still got to find the target. Doesn't make any sense because there's gloves there and his elbows are tucked in tight, so there won't be a clear wide gap. Even though he doesn't move as good as Fury, he'll be in front of you with the tight defence. And if he does what he did against Wallin and gets that little bit of rhythm to his work and starts working behind that jab and believing in it, then I think he pushes Ngannou back. And when Ngannou swings that right hand over the top, Joshua should theoretically get that right hand right down the middle, if he still believes in himself. Now what Ngannou has to do is use that. Though I thought he had really good shape against Fury. Actually, he looked more like the boxer than Fury did, ironically. But because his arms are so long, he will have to curl him over a little bit. So I think if you step in and get inside that reach, he's got to adapt too much with his punches, I think, or you've got to try and rip through the middle. Uppercuts are great shots, but an uppercut is hard to hit the target, and so much can go wrong with that with an uppercut. If you miss, you're a free target, or if you miss when you're a big guy, you put everything into it, it can turn your body into a different shape and square you up to a left hook or a right hand. So I think Joshua does do a job on him. It might not. I think it might be longer than 3 rounds, but I think he gets to win. I think he can stop Ngannou. But we don't know how good Ngannou's chin is yet. He might have a granite chin. He looks a granite man, doesn't he? Like his neck's bigger than most people's bodies. And his shoulders. If you see him from the back, he looks like a wall. It's just the weirdest thing ever, isn't it?
I tell you when they were facing off with each other, it just looked like two solid men. One of the things I think people have like said since Ngannou's fight with Fury, and people have been questioning Tyson's career now. Obviously, so Wilder get beat by Parker. Obviously, you being a boxer, obviously you know the industry, you know styles make fights. But is it worth educating some people who maybe sat there going, say if AJ stops Ngannou in a round or two, does that really affect Tyson Fury's legacy?
No, it doesn't. I don't think that affects Tyson Fury's legacy. I think Fury's performance against Ngannou could potentially affect it. But if he beats Usyk, it's all forgiven, isn't it? I did say that. It's a funny thing. Boxing styles do make fights, but also you have to take responsibility. You put it this way: when you're fighting as infrequent as these fighters do, there's no reason not to get it right. The one thing you should be is fit and motivated. If you're not, especially for the money, if money's your motivated for taking the fight, these sort of fights. So if you can't get motivated for the money or the opportunity or whatever it is, then you deserve to get beat. I think. I don't understand. Even though on paper that fight against Ngannou was an easy fight for Fury, should have been an easy fight. We were all saying it. Even Dan Hardy, he knew how good Ngannou was in his own sport, but even he was saying it should be an easy night for Fury, but it wasn't. So, but I think if Joshua blasts out Ngannou, that doesn't mean Fury's absolutely shot. Though Fury might be on the slide, because you have to look back. I'm not sure if he is or not, but you have to look back to Fury and say, when was the last time he had a stellar performance? And that is Wilder 2. Wilder 3 was a better fight to watch. But he boxed worse in that fight. He made it a more enjoyable fight, and Wilder was fantastic. But that's February 2020 was the second fight. That's a long time, to show your real, your stellar performance to what we've seen in the last few fights. To be fair, even the Dillian White fight, the Chisora fight, Dillian White I thought was on the slide anyway at that point, and Chisora was Chisora. It was what it was. So he hasn't really had those tests. He hasn't been boxing frequent, and he hasn't shown the class and the ability and the intelligence and everything that he showed against Wilder in the second fight.
I think quite some valid points there, and plenty of topic for discussion. I want to move on and ask you about, His Excellency mentioned that he wants some sort of crazy tournament where he's Matchroom versus Queensbury. I spoke to Frank and Eddie both, I get the feeling they've already got fights in their mind, but they've been told not to say anything. So you as a fan, as a boxing expert looking out, give me 3 fights that you'd like to see from both stables.
It's hard to think of it on top of your head, isn't it? Might be a while.
Some of the big names.
Yeah.
AJ Fury.
There's one, AJ Fury. Maybe Nick Ball versus, I say Lee Wood, but he's moved up now, hasn't he? Josh Warrington. He's moving up for this fight, but he doesn't say he moved up. They'd be good fights. Shabazz Massoud versus Liam Davis. Maybe good fight. There's going to be a couple staring me in the face here that I haven't got, isn't there? Clearly. Yeah.
We'll let people in the comments decide, because we'll be here all day, won't we? Barry thinking.
Yeah, give me 10 minutes to think about it, write it down. I'll have a load for you. But yeah, there's loads of good fights there. I think they have but there's fighters in different stages of his career there, isn't there? That's what you're not quite sure about. But it's a good one. What about Hamza Sheeran versus Felix Cash? If Felix Cash or he's not with Matchroom anymore, is he? Okay, no, I never taken notice of all that sort of stuff, so I don't know. But
Hamza Sheeran versus Amo Williams.
I forget about the Americans thing, don't you? Yeah.
I'll move on to the last topic I want to speak to you about, Barry. A big talking point in the last 24 hours was Tony Bellew's tweet, basically implying that Beterbiev's been cheating. That's pretty much what, is that how you took it? Because I don't want to say, because that's how I took it, that's how everyone's took it.
It seemed he was saying it. I don't want to put words in his mouth because he didn't say it, but it seemed that was the implication. And maybe, that's just, there was an atypical, with the drugs thing, I don't know what I don't understand it. I don't almost to a point where I don't want to understand it, which is wrong in itself, that I don't want to understand it. But
I've looked into it.
I'll say it, like everyone's been saying, and it's true, you have to keep the same energy for everyone. And I said that, so I haven't chucked Conor Benn to the wolves. And I haven't. I've said, listen, if he's guilty, he should never box again, chuck the book at him. If he's not guilty, let the kid fight. But either way, prove it. We get so much information on social media that, and I think it's an intended intention to give us loads of information to actually cloud people's judgments, that we don't really know what's going on. Whereas before, we just get a press statement about what's happening, and now we get loads of information of different sources. We don't know what's what. But I think you have to have the same energy. I think, you know, an atypical finding is not the same as failing a test and saying you didn't fail it. And I'm not just going to Conor Benn, there's other fighters who've had the same thing. So, you know, and there's loads of other fighters who people suspected on performance enhancing drugs who haven't been caught. But you can't, if you haven't been caught, you haven't been caught. And he hasn't been caught. And also, as Dom said, I think I've seen a little clip, and he said, you know, but yeah, if you can do it for 30 years and not get caught, that's sort of saying, well, hang on, he would have been caught by now if he was doing it. Maybe, maybe not. I heard something about...
Is it fair on him as a boxer? Because he's got 20 knockouts, and I think his first fight was 2013 as a pro. So he's knocked everybody out for 10 years. And looking at his amateur record, I know he dropped Usyk. I think, to my knowledge, he was the last person to drop Usyk. I might be wrong. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but...
He's a naturally big puncher. He is. He really is. And you don't know. You know, maybe... You know, but you just don't know anymore. I think that's the sad thing about it. Every sport you just don't know. But you know, I've heard rumours of other fights, and I don't know this. I'm going to get this wrong, so people don't have a go at me. I have no knowledge of this.
Don't drop names in.
No, I'm not going to drop names. About people before they turn pro, heightening their testosterone levels. I think. So when you get your first tested or whatever, I'm not quite sure if this is right. If I'm talking bollocks, they take that as your natural state, what's naturally in your body, but it's not really. And then. So like if you get tested first of all, you get tested for your levels of something, and it's naturally low. Then when you take the drugs, it heightens it, and you get caught. If you take the drugs before everything, I might be talking bollocks. I'm not quite sure. You might want to cut this out.
No, we'll carry on, but it feels like you're digging a hole. We'll just stop.
No. I just mean, like, you know,
I know what you're saying.
You can cheat before you get the testing. I think, you know. So there might be fighters there who've done that. You know, like before they turn pro. Beterbiev might be one of them. I don't know. I'm not saying that he is. I don't think he is. But I mean, and then they're never going to get caught. Other fighters who are man mountains and full of muscle. You just don't know. And so until we have a fair one system for everyone, we're always going to have this problem with drugs all the time. We're going to have a problem where things can be interpreted. You know, and unfortunately that's how it is. But I do think, like, I love Tony. He's a top guy, and people who don't think he is. He's genuinely a wicked bloke. And
I can confirm he is.
Yeah, and I don't know him that well, so you know, I'm not scared of him either. By the way, I know he can smash me, but there's a room full of people who can smash me, so I don't care about that. But I mean, I keep the same energy for everyone. Like that's what I think everyone's saying that to him. Everyone should have the same amount of criticism if you're going to criticise him because he boxed a friend of yours. But I thought Callum did have a good go. I mean, he didn't win. He was never going to win the fight. As soon as the fight started.
People were saying he's going to stop Beterbiev. He's got him at the right time. And Dominic Ingle said this as well. I don't get your opinion on this, because Dom basically said Callum's always been good, but he's never been elite. So whoever thought that, they got it completely wrong, because there's a big gap between being good and being elite.
There is, but he's been a world champion. He's been a good world champion. I think he's world class. I do think he's world class, and I think he moved up in weight and he looked comfortable at that weight. But he came up against a guy who, by the way, Beterbiev hasn't been killers, by the way, either. I don't like to use that term, sorry, but he's been good fighters, better fighters than Callum Smith has beat. I would say that. And he's been boxing high level from like his fifth fight in his career. I think Tavoris Club was like his fifth or sixth fight, which is phenomenal. He just came in a guy who was too good for him, and that age thing about Beterbiev is going to carry on forever, because you got to get old sometime. But Bernard Hopkins never. So
Well, they said about Beterbiev, they said he don't drink, he don't smoke, he lives a regimental lifestyle. Surely if you've done that for 20 odd years, does that must work? I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, but what it is though is it's the training. You get injuries in training, and when you're older you pick up injuries and it's easier and they last for longer. And that's what mostly ends people's career, is the training. That's what happens. So Joe Kazagi was one of them. He won the fights. It was the training, which just bashed his body, his hands. I always go back to him because I know him. But other fighters have said the training's just too hard, my body's breaking down. And that's it. Darren Barker was another one with his back, with his hips or whatever it was. His body broke down. So he won the fights. It's the stuff you do in the gym. So you tend to think the longer you're fighting, the more that should be the case. When it's not, then you're an enigma, like a Bernard Hopkins. Joe Lou, there's been plenty of them that have gone on longer than they should. And so, it's who knows.
We'll look forward to Knockout Chaos, and I'll probably see you inside. I'm sure you'll be there doing a gig for someone.
I think so. I'm in Abu Dhabi the week before, so I'm hoping just to pop over and nick some work, yeah. It's been a long day today, haven't it? Long day.
You've done well for a guy that allegedly can't punch.
Yeah, so that. No, I could punch. I found my power when I was 29. I found my power, but I retired at 25. I said that before, didn't I?
Yeah, Barry, appreciate your time as always. We'll catch you soon, brother.
You want anything bad enough? Don't make excuses. You gotta lose your time and your sleep for it. You find a way.